this is where I think you're not seeing a lot of women who would go.
But classical modern democracy is founded on ideology. And there will be those whose ideology will be very much in favor of women's rights and women's whatever, and others who will take what I call the conservative Australian view, which hounded out a women's prime minister.
Yes.
So we can't get out of the ideology. But I still think that the involvement of the activists, you see, because people like you and all those in FIDA and the Net-Right, etc., they are as articulate as me. They know their rights. They know what should be done. But very few of them get into the process of implementation.
No, I mean, if you talk about implementation,
which is where the
party politics, you know.
No, but what I'm saying, what I'm saying is that women activists can have political positions and political principles just as men do.
No, there's no doubt about it. And you can be sure that even if we're not out in the limelight, we also have our ideologies that we want to push.
You see, because as you say, if I can, everybody will pardon me and I'll use me see and kokamame are two different things. Me see means I am doing it.
Yes.
I am involved.
Yeah.
But too much of the advocacy is kokamame. You are pushing other people. But why is that?
No, but you see, even for the few who are there, are their voices heard? I mean, I think that...
Look, you don't have the critical mass.
We do, except that... I mean, I think that when we are talking, and I think we should be clear here, the kind of politics that we play in, I don't know, what is that the word, play in this country?
In this country.
Puts a lot of people off. And it does not allow for ideologies to be pursued. We've seen people who are there when they're on in the opposition, and I'm talking, when they are in opposition, as civil society, we call them every day. They will turn up every day. Once their parties go into power, you call them and they don't turn up.
You see,
and this is where the challenge is.
I want to push this matter because you see, you take somebody like David Cameron, whose party is totally, you might say, not friendly to gays, and he's pushing gay marriage, he's pushing all this. So the ideology, and I sense without, having any real evidence that a lot of the gender activists may be of the left-leaning political inclination. But there's nothing wrong with having a view about, because that affects in a sense how the men will see the role of women.
No, I think that if anything at all, is because men are, okay, with due apologies, some men or most men.
You can talk about all men. It's okay. I don't
are afraid. I think that this is where the misunderstanding that when you push women, it's like you having the power and not wanting to release that somebody is coming to take your power away from you.
But you're articulating the powers. You see, let me tell you why I'm pushing this point. There is a big disconnect in our country between the laws on the book and the actions that flow from those laws.
Yeah.
And my pet theory is this: if those who can lead the gender implementation of those things are not there, you see, for political reasons, a lot of men will pass laws because it makes them look good. They go to international conferences. There's the minister of this. The president wants to be seen to have signed all the international conventions. But if at the heart of the implementation, the strong advocates who have led the fight for legislation are not part of it, then I sense this is where our problems are coming from.
But can we all all be part of it.
No, no,
We
but
can't
not enough.
all.
Not in. I mean, in the terms
Okay,
of
not enough. But
Dorcas,
you
in
see,
terms of the number of active gender activists in this country, how many are really involved in the political process?
not
Very
many,
few.
and probably not because of their own, you know, because of their own fault or their own doing. For instance, this current government in their the NDC in their manifesto said that all appointments, at least 40%,
The
will
old,
be
the
men.
old government. The
Okay,
late,
this one was
the
30.
late,
No,
the-
no,
This one was
it's still 30%.
Okay.
It has not made 15%.
Have you examined why? Maybe they called people and they didn't go.
No, this is the point. Another organization wrote to comment, you know, to remind the government of its, you know, role, of its promise. And then the response was that due to some structural difficulties. And we are saying,
And what did the Women's Ministry say about that?
We don't know yet. We don't know. But the thing is that the ministry has a directory of women that it has published with a list of, I don't know how many, several women with different skills. So how can anybody say that the women are not there to be appointed? I believe that, as you rightly say, sometimes, you know, we do these things just for the fun of it. We talk, but we don't walk the talk.
You don't have a monitoring desk that says we're having to appointed X number of ministers, or
I don't know. You have been close to a government before, but I mean, for
I
people
have been close to a government, but
what can I say?
You are the advocates, and you are advocating.
I know sometimes you write and it takes months. Sometimes you don't even get a response at all.
Okay, let's go to
Apart from maybe we should now be going out on the streets.
No, go on. Let me go back, because I want us to really begin to see. You've been an activist for a long time. You know, in the 21 odd years of the Fourth Republic, I want us to share with me and the watchers and the listeners where real and substantial progress has been made, and where you think that we still are very short. It's important that we begin to see the wheat from the chaff, where you think, well, in the Fourth Republic, these are areas where we made progress towards gender equality in a real and practical sense.
Okay, in the area of education, I would say that we're seeing some progress in terms of, you know, more women are going up at the secondary level, at the tertiary level.
They're excelling better than the men.
Yes. But it's still, in terms of numbers, they're still small, but at least we're seeing it's a gradual process.
What about basic education and getting children enrolled?
As for enrollment, it's, I think we are par. You know, sometimes even at certain levels, there's a slight, you know, girls are higher. So that's
the issue of, let's say, daddies preferring to support boys,
yes,
all of those things have been dealt with?
They are dying out slowly. You still have pockets, you know, you go to places.
I just wanted to
yeah.
see that there's been some progress.
Oh, there has been. I think that as far as education is concerned, there has been some progress, definite progress that you can see.
Widowhood right, because you get this amazing situation where the minute
somebody dies,
the husband dies, the family comes to intervene, and you know, I mean, have we made any progress in that kind of thing?
Yes, to some extent. You know, especially since '85, when the intestate succession law was passed, a lot of work by FIDA and, you know, some of the women's, you know, organizations, it's really, you know, has brought the people's attention to the fact that when a person dies, there's a law. You can't just go in and decide that you're taking the property and driving the woman out. But of course, you see, it's easy to talk about.
Do you have avenues where it's easy for a woman? I read about some widows NGO or something, but do you have avenues where women can?
Widows and Orphans Ministry in the north.
Okay.
Yes, they're working very hard. But at the same time, there are some projects that we've been involved in that we've trained people in the community, we call them legal literacy volunteers and, you know, several other names. And they do the education at the community level. And these people are known. So when anything like this happens, they'll go to them and say that, look, this is what, and they will intervene and say that you cannot do this because it is against the law.
Would FIDA have a desk for something like this?
FIDA does a lot of it. But the thing is that FIDA is based in Accra. I tried to set up offices in Koforidua, in the north, Tamale. Funds ran out, so they've had to close the offices. Well, that's
very surprising, given the amount of money being put into the gender research and advocacy. I find it strange that...
You think that there's a lot of money going there?
There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of activities going on.
A lot of activism, but the actual money...
Have you suggested to the Ministry of Women that they should set up these centers?
The ministry itself does not have enough resources to manage.
Has it asked for more resources?
Well, I cannot
tell.
I cannot speak for the ministry.
Obama came here and mentioned by name 2 people, one of whom worked for DVLSU. Do you think that his praise was justified in terms of what DVLSU was doing?
I don't remember.
Oh, he did mention a lady from DVLSU.
Dovsu. Okay,
and
I think on the
Anas as the 2 people.
Yeah, I think that was the person who is doing the trafficking. A lot of trafficking also of people.
What are the areas that
Dovsu, Domestic Violence Victim Support Unit.
In the areas they've been tackling, where have you seen the real successes since it was established, and where are the bottlenecks? Accepting that it is still waiting for a proper ally to get going.
I think that, you know, their presence on the national scene has seen an increase in reporting of cases, and but they still have a lot of challenges. As I said, sometimes you go to some of these police stations and there's a one-person Dovsu with no resources.
In terms of, let's say, take-up by both men and women who, you know, have we seen an increase in the number of people using their services?
Oh yes,
have
definitely.
Have we seen a lot of effective action coming out of?
As for effective action, that one I don't know. But you know what I can, because I'm saying so because they're working under very limited resources. You know, and you know, so it really impacts on the efficiency. For instance, if you live in a place where the next court is, say, 100 miles away, and you know, if you look at the criminal court, some of these cases have to go to, like rape has to go to the it starts off at the High Court, and so if you know this thing happened and the next place, you know, where the High Court is about 100 miles away, and they don't have vehicle, the complainant does not have the resources to be, you know, giving the
that's the story of the Ghana police and all the resources.
So it's a real challenge that they face.
So why do you think we've made? Give me apart from education, what about child slavery? Have we made some progress there?
I don't know. You see, child slavery.
You know, the people who are working the cocoa farms and all those kind of things.
Again, sometimes this is an area that I haven't done any research, so I cannot say whether there is indeed. Yes, there's somebody. You see, what we should not forget is that some of these people who work on the cocoa farms live there with their children. Mm-hmm. And if you've been to any cocoa farm located somewhere in the middle of the forest in Sefi, for instance, where there's no school, and this child is living with his parents. Maybe they don't have anybody that they can leave the child with in the town for schooling. How do you call them slaves? You see, sometimes we have to be able to, and this is why I'm saying that.
I'm raising these things because these things are affecting our international relationships, and we are not. Okay, let's try and sum up. What we're trying to do is to achieve gender equality.
Yes.
Give me, with your background and the networking that you do, give me in priority, 1, 2, 3, the things we must focus on to accelerate the gender equality battle in terms of the empowerment of our women. You started off by talking about decisions in the home. But let's take 3 specific areas where you think if we focus on these, we'll make real and substantial progress.
I think for me, the first thing is to go into the community and do the awareness raising. Let people know that if women are given the chance, the opportunity, the impact that they will make on the community and their family lives will be more beneficial.
What are the areas we should concentrate in terms of the awareness creation? I mean, in terms of, what we go in and say to a community, do A, B, C, D, so that the women can. So
the issue of course, education, as I say, is still paramount. The issue of getting more women involved in politics, even at the district level.
Yes.
Is critical. Taking women's issues seriously at district and national level